monkey.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Is that a monkey?
Where are the gorillas?
Nice monkey suit.
The help of this chimp, we may have a championship season.
Monkey!
It's like I'm talking to a monkey.
No one wants to be turned into a monkey.
Apes together.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cinemonkey. My name is Mike DePalma, and this is a monkey movie podcast where we talk all things sapiens and cinema. And today, I am joined by my good buddy, my good pal, improv man, Michael Vincent Castelli. Hello.
Hello, internet world. Super excited to be here, fellow Michael Vincent.
Yeah. And I was driving home one day, and who walks right in front of my car but Mr. Castelli right in front of me, and I give him a quick call, and he says, I just saw an insane film. That movie is Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire.
A missed opportunity with moments of brilliance, I feel. And I feel you agree.
Yeah. We'll jump into that. Let me just run through the credits of this film really quickly. So this movie was directed by Adam Wingard. He's returning from the previous film. It was written by Terry Rosso, Simon Barrett, Jeremy Slater, and then it stars Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Dan Stevens, Kaylee Hotley, Alex Ferns, and Fala Chen. And it was produced by Legendary Pictures and distributed by Warner Brothers.
Because I think we both know who the real star of this film is.
Yeah.
Here, let's say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Godzilla. Oh, okay. Alrighty.
We disagree?
That's okay.
All right. Well, so we'll jump into the plot of the film right now. The movie opens. It's 3 years after the last one. A movie you haven't seen. You just told me.
No, sir.
So
No,
you're jumping into this.
I only love watching the movies between trilogies because I love being suspicious of everyone and not knowing things that everyone else knows.
Did you see any of the previous Godzilla films? Or
No.
Kong, Skull Island?
No.
All right, so you're really jumping into this.
I am in new waters with you, sir.
All right.
I am ready to fall in because I love Godzilla.
Yeah. We used to talk about Godzilla -1 when that came out, and that's just a kick-ass movie.
Hell yeah.
This is a little bit different.
It kicks ass at times.
In a different way, it kicks ass.
But I think it sometimes kicks its own ass at times.
So the movie opens, if you remember. We see Kong in his daily life, now living in the Hollow Earth.
Getting a little slice of life I honestly didn't expect.
It's really funny because the previous movie opens in a very similar way with Kong on Skull Island, just kind of going about his
surviving.
day. And then we see him being pursued by these little weird rat dog pig creatures.
Yeah, and we learned that he's a craftsman.
Yeah, and he creates all sorts of traps, and he winds up killing them.
He's a haunter of sorts.
He's learning. He creates all these different traps, kills these wart dog creatures,
which are filled with green goo. So that's probably just for localization, so they don't have to edit out the blood.
Oh, almost certainly. This movie's PG-13. I mean, the last movie, which you didn't see, they really brutally murder Mechagodzilla, and if it was blood, you see oil spill everywhere.
Oh, that's cool.
And he rips the spine out and everything.
Yeah.
I'll talk about something a little bit later with the villain of this movie and kind of the work
Are
around.
you saying that the spine is a theme?
No. The spine is not. Is it a theme?
What is the emotional backbone of this film that we are exploring together? The blood from Mechagodzilla is capitalism.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
sorry.
The previous movie was actually a metaphor for AI. This one doesn't quite have that theme in it. This is just about big animals slapping each other. It's actually more about family. But anyway, so...
It's more about if you like Monarch. I'll continue. Sorry,
No, it's okay. The Legacy of Monsters, yeah. I haven't seen the show, but I do know, little spoiler, going on different forums and stuff, looking up facts for this movie. Kong does appear in that show at the end of the show.
What?
So I'm going to have to watch that show for another episode.
It's my dad's favorite show, and he talks to me about it, and he wants me to watch it, and I can't finish a single episode. But synopsis.
So anyway, back to the movie that we were supposed to talk about. So Kong, he takes his little treats back home to his little cave and lair, and he showers off the blood off of his body.
He has a walk-in shower.
Yeah, he's got a walk-in shower. How nice is that?
Just into his living space, which granted is just rocks, but it's
prime real estate.
Primal
real estate. And he hears the sound of what he thinks is another Kong, and he rushes over to it, if you remember. And what is it? what does he find?
Oh, he finds this fantastic, hideous toad.
Yeah.
That as it breathes in, it like balances on itself like a beach ball, and it burps at him. And Kong is sad because it should be family.
Because it should be family, but it's just a frog.
It's a frog. It's a frog. And that you reminded me. That's when we learned that he has a toothache.
He has. This is actually extremely important. He cannot eat his food that he just caught because his tooth is killing him.
Because he does not floss. Because he is a gorilla.
Because he is a 300-foot gorilla. That's our cold open of the film. Kong has a toothache and kills some dogs.
That is when the title sequence hits.
Yeah, and then we meet kind of the lead character of the movie, played by Rebecca Hall. I don't remember her name.
Doctor lady.
Doctor, yes, the doctor.
Oh, no, sorry. Titan scientist.
Titan scientist. She's been promoted from the previous movie.
Yes.
She was just the Kong Whisperer, just kind of the head scientist on that. Now she's like head of the Hollow Earth, or second in command of the Hollow Earth. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And then while they're doing that, they're kind of explaining that, well, Kong, his domain is the center of the Earth, the Hollow Earth. And where's Godzilla's domain? The rest of the Earth.
The rest of the... So, having not seen the first film...
Yes.
I assume that because, like, Kong is capable... He's related to us. He's capable of reason.
Yeah.
He's like, I will secede my claim. Godzilla's going to protect my human chums. I will go beneath the planet.
Not quite. So Godzilla just kind of, in the previous movie, beats him, and it goes, not bad, kid, I'll see you around, like, gives him this little look over his shoulder as he, like, goes back into
that's
the
hot.
ocean. Yeah. And then Kong goes back to the Hollow Earth because he feels like that's his home. Because it's kind of like Skull Island, because Skull Island was destroyed. And
that's big.
Yeah.
But they keep talking about it like it's still there in this movie.
It's been overrun by, like, a storm.
Oh,
okay. So, yeah, the Hollow Earth is just, like, a bigger Skull Island for Kong.
Nice.
Kong's in the Hollow Earth. Godzilla's on Earth taking care of business of all the other monsters.
There's a lot of monsters.
There's a lot of monsters. And over the opening credits, we see a great attack on Rome by a giant crab. And Godzilla's like, I'm having none of this. He comes in and just atomic breaths him and...
Shower. Also, it's okay. We're very animated here.
Yeah.
You can't see us at home, but we are gesticulating.
We're very
Because
excited.
we're both... Because as Italians, Godzilla's home is Venice.
Godzilla loves Rome so much that he decides to curl up in a ball in the Colosseum and take a big nap.
If we do math, we know how big Godzilla is.
Yeah, Godzilla is like 400-something feet tall. I looked it up in the previous episode. I doubt he got any bigger between the two. But this is Light Blue Edition Godzilla.
Yes.
Yeah, which is an upgrade from original Godzilla. Mm-hmm. But so Light Blue Edition Godzilla, he destroys this crab monster, uses atomic breath, bursts him into a bunch of pieces all over Rome, and he takes a nap in the Colosseum, and everyone's like, the Italians are mad about this. They're like, well, Godzilla's here, and everyone's like, calm down, he's fine.
Though they covered Roman fan art of him eating pizza.
That is true.
It's very cute.
And then he steps on it.
Yeah, he kicks it.
So then we get after that big battle, and he falls asleep in Colosseum. We jump back into the movie. We get the title sequence. We get Godzilla, Kong, A New Empire. That's our opening.
That's it.
That's of the movie.
I will... Spoiler alert.
Oh, this is actually full spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, even after this film, I don't know what the New Empire is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
It's about the status quo. Has not changed since
I guess
the previous movie.
Maybe it's like a metaphor. Is this when they're at school?
Yeah, so they cut to the school. The deaf girl from the previous movie, who is the last of her tribe, she's having trouble fitting in. And in Hollow Earth, there's big kind of seismic problems that are happening there. They're being recorded down, and they're like, this is kind of weird. This doesn't normally happen. And we cut to Gia, this little girl. She's getting these psychic visions of big monsters. She can't quite explain it. She's drawing all over her desk.
Oh, and everyone thinks she's the weird kid.
Yeah, she's weird.
But admittedly, she's pretty weird.
She's pretty weird.
In that, like, I assume there's a time jump because her desk is, like, destroyed.
Oh, she's coloring that desk.
Yeah, like, but she was coloring it for, like, 10, 20 minutes. And the movie wants us to believe that just happened in a flash.
And they contact her mother, Rebecca Hall, and they're like, hey, your daughter's not doing great. And she's like, you don't get it. She's been through a lot. They're like, kids go through a lot all the time. She's got to do her homework or whatever.
Don't you know what growing up is like?
She's like, you don't get it. She was the last of her kind. She's like, well, whatever. And they move on, and so we cut back to another character from the previous movie. We're introduced to a podcaster. His name is Bernie.
He's in the first movie.
He's in the previous
because he
movie.
references things from the first.
Yeah, he's
movie.
like, we teamed up in the previous movie, except they never interact, these two characters. And so she's like, you know this stuff. Can you explain this? And he's like, I have some ideas, but I want to go to the Hollow Earth. And she's like, it's not a business trip. Like, you got to be prepared for this. And he's like, you got to take me. And she goes, you know what? For my daughter, fine, I'll take you. So she recruits Bernie. Bernie's back in business. And he's kind of our point of view character in all this.
Though politely, him and his Discord of, 200 people actually put together some workable plans for the film.
Yeah. No, he's doing God's work.
Yeah.
Kind of just cutting back to...
Because it's like their outpost station.
Yeah.
They lost connection with them.
They don't get why they've lost it, and they think that Bernie can help them out. Kind of figure this stuff out and help out little Gia as well. We then cut back to Godzilla, and Godzilla's awakened, and he decides, I'm getting out of Rome. Something's up. He feels this surge of energy, and he starts walking away. And then we cut back to the outpost on land.
The scene is literally just him walking away.
Yeah, he just walks away back into the ocean, and then we see this big portal kind of open up in Barbados. Who crawls through that portal but our good friend Kong, and he comes up and he lays down on the ground, and then they're like, oh my god, if Godzilla knows he's here,
I know,
we're gonna be so screwed.
So much, I would say, would you say like a fair 80% of the movie spouted from a human is speaking for or on behalf of Godzilla?
I would say it's probably more than that.
God.
They're like, Godzilla's gonna be so mad about this. He's stepping in on his territory, and Kong comes in and he just lays down. And they're like, what's wrong with him? And then we call in our new character of this film.
Animal dentist
man, played by Dan Stevens. And he comes in and he rips out Kong's tooth with a big helicopter thing. And they somehow insert a new metal tooth. And he's like, fixed him,
He's gonna be drowsy for a little bit.
He's gonna be fine, though. And he's like,
can I share a grievance with that scene?
Absolutely.
The actor, Mr. Dan Stevens, he's having a fun time. He's doing a good job. Warner Brothers plays a song over him. He's like, I gotcha.
Yeah.
And they play, but in a way that annoys me. Where I know, they're doing this because they're Warner Brothers and they have access to their music catalog. Just let the man act. He knows what to do.
This man has been the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Are you serious?
In the live action remake, yeah. So
him.
he's got a connection.
Wait, I'm pulling for him now.
I love Dan Stevens. He was in that show Legion. I don't know if you've seen it.
All these bangers, Dan Stevens, right under my nose.
Dan Stevens, yeah.
Oh my god, Dan.
He's killing it. He's underrated actor. Kong jumps back in the hole to go back to Hollow Earth.
He kind of slurps down the hole.
Yeah, he slurps down, and then they're like, well, we might as well follow him. So
now, surely Godzilla isn't... Now, what is it? I think they assume that because Kong was there, that Godzilla's moving.
Yeah. So Godzilla's on the move because Kong's up here. And they jump back into the hold because they're like, we have to get him down.
Yeah. Audience, you gotta know this is like the first 35 minutes of the film.
We're like
I think that's
20-something minutes in. Yeah. Godzilla on his way, and so Kong jumps back into this hole, and they decide to follow him down to investigate what's going on with the outpost that's been discovering these kind of earthquake seismic things. And so the team consists of Dan Stevens, Rebecca Hall, the little girl, Gia, Bernie, the podcaster, and then a pilot. They jump down there and they travel through time and space and they make it to the middle of the earth and they kind of fly alongside these giant electrical bird things. They're like, oh, don't worry, they won't attack unless they're provoked. Meanwhile, Godzilla, he makes his way over to France and he just destroys a nuclear power plant and slurps up all that nuclear energy.
Oh, we have that lovely scene where all the soldiers from a trench are like, oh no, he's drinking up our power plant. These fields are useless. We must retreat. And they turn. And he's not wrong. If that's an actual farmland, that's fucked forever.
It's done.
That is...
You might turn on Godzilla. I mentioned this in the previous episode, but in Godzilla King of the Monsters, the second film in the franchise, Godzilla at the end of the movie, the finale takes place in Boston.
Oh no, they duke it in the Green Monster.
They do duke it in the Green Monster, and then at the end of the movie, Godzilla absorbs all this radiation and then nukes Boston, essentially.
I don't remember that part.
And they're like, he saved the day. It was later.
But that same like enthusiasm from the cast is present in this movie. It's like, oh boy, thank you, Godzilla was here to drink up the radiation from our power plant.
From our French power plant. Godzilla sucks up the radiation, and they're like, he's preparing for something. Something's up. They don't know what it is. Back in the Hollow Earth, Kong.
But also, just in terms of location whiplash, did you know when you're watching like Endgame Avengers and like they're jumping all over, like, because a difficulty of that film is that they're in so many places, but then like, you know, you get a nice little stories, or at least like it like grounds you, so you're like, oh, this is why we're here today. Yeah. Then we move forward. This movie does not care about that.
Oh, this movie goes and it says get on or just leave.
Because Godzilla is literally walking from like, I don't know, from like Italy to France, from France to like Costa Rica. He just walks or swims there.
Yeah, it doesn't take him too long.
No.
Kong, back on the Hollow Earth, he goes back to his home.
Because his little trap opens up more.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then that reveals, what is it? I think the computer says undiscovered territory.
Yeah, like subterranean.
Undiscovered area.
What I love about that is they're in the Hollow Earth. They're in the center of the Earth, so they have to go deeper into the center of the Earth.
We have layers.
And Kong goes down. He takes his trusty battle axe with him.
I love this.
He starts walking through the mistiness of the subterranean level, and he finds a tiny Kong.
How would you describe Kong's energy to this point?
Kong is like annoyed, I would say.
But like in terms of like the usual, like if you were typecasting him in like a play, what energy is he giving you?
What energy is he giving? He's giving annoyed father.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Guys, I have to tell you, there's just so many like micro animation decisions in Kong, because to me he's just a gorilla that climbs things and beats his chest.
Yeah.
And this one he's kind of like civilized, and he's like grunts a lot, and he laughs and he does jokes.
Yeah, this interpretation of Kong, because I've been watching these movies back to back to back, I'm going slowly insane. You just see him evolve. In his first film, he's described as a teenager. In the second movie, Godzilla Kong, he's like a full-grown adult, and now he has like battle scars, and he's like, I've seen some stuff. Now he has a personality, and that's why I think he's the main character of these films, is because one, we spend the most time with him, I think, out of any other character. Because he is an ape and he is a humanoid in that way, you relate to him.
Yeah, but that's also like the least interesting part of him to me. I'm not coming here to relate to King Kong. He's big and he punches things, which is why Godzilla knows the homework assignment. But I'm also you're not wrong. He's like concerned father.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I have my axe. What is this child doing?
There is this 100-foot baby gorilla that's in front of me.
You're right. I forget how large it is.
Yeah, that's something that I think I have a little bit of a gripe with this movie. Like, you forget the size of these creatures sometimes.
Oh, because you're right. Because like they're in the subland where everything is big.
Yeah, and then you do get to see them next to humans a little bit later.
Yeah, they kind of do a little Mario thing where they pop through little warp pipes. And there's like, bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh, we're back. We're in Barbados, so
Yes.
We meet the tiny Kong, and then he kind of brings us over, and there's these other kind of big ape creatures kind of there, kind of looking a little Neanderthal-ish, but they've like lost a lot of their hair. They look kind of sick.
Yeah,
and
they got covered in like bloody handprints, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and they have knives.
Yeah.
They pull a knife on Kong. He's getting jumped, which I thought was really funny. And he just socks them. He just decks these 3 or 4 other gorillas. And
he thrashes one almost too well, but he catches them.
Oh, yes, that's true. He accidentally knocks one off a cliff, but he grabs his hand. But that sneaky other monkey, yeah.
He's like, hey, you're jumping me, but your life is worth more than this, kid. You can grow from this. And then what happens to that monkey?
And that monkey tries to stab him, so he just drops him off the cliff. Kong is brutal. The director of this movie, looking into some trivia, he's like, Kong represents the best in humanity.
No!
And I'm like, does he? Does he?
Kind of in terms of like simple needs, he just wants to find community.
Yeah.
And he just values staying alive. He doesn't inherently like games or violence, unless he's forced to do it. Yeah. At least in this one.
Yeah, he doesn't. Even in the previous ones, he's always provoked, usually. He doesn't go out seeking a fight. Everything seeks a fight with him.
He follows Bugs Bunny logic.
Yeah.
But you're right. No, that's... Yeah.
I think in this movie, he never truly seeks a fight. He's always provoked into fighting someone or something else.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think later in the movie, but yeah, no, he's always on the defense.
I just don't want to jump too ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so the team that's searching the humans, they get to the base and it's
jacked up.
It's jacked up. It's devastated. It's destroyed, and they see this big red monkey print on like a mountain
wall.
Yeah,
But they find a camera.
Yeah.
Which they can. Is that how secure? Or is there security footage on the literal camera? That
you never know. Listen,
You know that's you know what? Middle Earth has different rules. No, that's Lord of the Rings. Where are we again?
Hollow Earth.
Under Earth. Oh, okay.
There's different rules down there.
Hollow Land.
And so the folks, they look at the camera and they find a big eye and they're like, is that Kong? And they're like, that's not Kong. That's a different monkey, maybe.
They probably assume that we've seen one ape eye. That is not our ape eye. This world must be full of apes.
They're like, oh, well, we got to go somewhere else. And so they start walking around trying to find just another clue as to what's going on with the apes.
I genuinely don't remember what the next clue is.
Yeah, they don't really find much, and they just kind of walking around, and then Pilot Man is like, I'm in charge here, and then he gets eaten by a
He
tree.
decides to be like antagonistic for no reason.
Yeah, he just gets angry at the group. He's like, you guys don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm the military expert because no one else in this group has...
How dare I accommodate this podcaster?
this podcaster and this veterinarian.
Fixing another seat that's already in my plane? For the director of our program?
And he's brutally eaten by a tree creature thing. Bernie, the podcaster, freaks out and he's like, ah.
Did you feel he was about to die?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because like the Trapper Man's like, sorry, our man Dan Stevens is like, I don't think we should go this way. This is a bad spot. And then he decides to pick a fight for no reason other than I think going straight through the danger zone is good.
Dan Stevens like, that's a bad. I could smell it. Like you could just tell.
And someone said this place smells like death.
Yeah,
He's like, that doesn't matter. You don't know what you're doing. Your senses are fictitious.
I've been here too many times. They're like, I think maybe we should be careful. So we then cut back to Godzilla, and he decides to leave Europe by way of Spain. Some fighter jets follow him. There's a submarine that follows him all the way to the Arctic Ocean.
Yes, because this is where like we're fighting like a villain in a Rocky movie, or we're watching like pay-per-view where they give us the specs of the person.
Yeah, they're like, he's gonna go fight. Let me see if I can find the name of this creature. Tiamat, which is a giant snake-winged creature that lives in the ice.
He lives in his lair. Fix his glasses. Because they were very specific that his lair is the apex of all solar energy on our planet.
He's gonna go mess this guy
if
up.
Kong messes up that man and takes a little nappy nap in his lair, he'll be unstoppable.
He'll be unstoppable.
We don't even understand what this will do to him.
Meanwhile, back to the human people, they wind up finding a temple in the Hollow Earth, and they're like, this looks awfully familiar to the temples on Skull Island.
Which politely is a sick set.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually thinking about
No,
that.
it's a good set. It might be reused from a previous Kong movie, because it does look very similar. And they press a button on the wall, and then water comes and...
A button that was marked by a little moth.
Oh, correct, yes.
Because it's a temple for Mothra.
Says, yep, turns out it's a temple for Mothra.
Which has protected little girls... What's her name again?
Gia.
Little Gia's people. For eons.
For eons, and
is known for her association with Godzilla.
Yeah, and, well, Mothra actually was in a previous movie, and she died, sacrificing herself.
Oh, yeah, because she supercharges... She helps, like, Godzilla go, like, Super Saiyan or something.
Yeah, essentially, that's what makes Godzilla blue, previous
cool.
movie. Because Godzilla was just like...
Wait, you have to help me for a minute.
Yeah.
So, King of All Monsters is part of this universe and it's canon?
Yes.
No.
So you have seen that movie?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
No. But they're so different.
They're so different. That movie is very serious, and this movie is not serious at all.
You can't just say things are connected because they're convenient.
And yet they are. They walk through and they find this weird kind of like veil thing that's like separating...
I was praying it was a gross cocoon.
Oh, I was hoping something
disgusting. I want
disgusting.
them to open it up and be like, Mothra, that's weird. But it's like played by like whatever like our current David Bowie is. Just like a dude. Like, hey.
I haven't fully formed yet.
This isn't my final form.
And they like rip it open. It's just more Hollow Earth. It's just...
Yeah, you're right. Boo.
It's just... And then they discover the lost tribe.
Yeah.
It's Gia's people. They're here.
This is an hour into the film.
This is an hour into the movie. We haven't gotten to our main villain yet.
No.
The people don't speak, but they have these paintings and rock formations.
No, they speak with their brains.
That's true. They do just kind of signal to each other.
Which is a good joke in that They connect via direct eye contact. Because as we know, we saw Rebecca Hall when she's like tired and doesn't know how to deal with her daughter.
Yeah.
Her desk is covered with Skull Island literature. So we know that when she says it, she's a study person.
Yeah, she knows what she's talking about. She knows these people. She knows her adopted daughter. She tells this tale of that there was an ancient war between Godzilla and the monkeys.
Oh no, excuse me, she's not telling this. It's when their queen, their like ancient queen, escorts them
correct,
into this
yes.
weird tomb where it looks like I don't know, like you and I know too much, like a styrofoam backdrop of Godzilla and Kong and all these monkeys fighting on the wall.
Yeah, and they're like, and there's the worst monkey of them all, the Scar King.
If it was the Ska King,
If it was the Ska King, it'd
all
be
the
a
little-
different movie.
all his little imp prisoners just have little trumpets.
They talk about the Scar King and how he wants to wage war with the Earth realm, and he's stuck. It's crazy. It's insane.
This is pretty plotty, huh?
Yeah, we lose plot right after this. Though.
How long ago did that happen? Enough that we care.
We hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Enough that there's like a civilization of bald apes who are browbeaten in lava.
Yeah, well, right after we talk about the Scar King, we cut to Kong and the little baby Kong walking through some realm that's reminiscent of. It reminded me of Shrek, where they walk across the Dragon's Bridge.
Yeah.
They walk across the.
Oh, that was cool.
The dead.
And don't
creature.
skip over.
Yeah.
The little monkey baby isn't his friend the whole time.
That's true, yeah.
They actually like build a cute relationship.
Yeah. We don't know what they're saying to each other, but Kong's just like, I'm going to take care of you. Please stop biting me.
In the best way, it's fun because it's all action.
Yeah.
Because they literally can't speak.
There's segments of this movie where there's no dialogue for large portions, and I think those are the best sections of this movie.
Honestly, I think this is the closest. I know Illumination's making it. This is the Donkey Kong movie to me. Because we have DK and we have Diddy. You know who Diddy Kong is?
Yeah,
He's got the little cap. Because it's this
his little buddy,
He's
yeah.
a little crafty. He tries to feed Godzilla to a big sea serpent.
Oh yeah, that's so true. I forgot about that scene. Yeah.
And then like at the time they don't have any food, he has something to eat. And then like Kong shares some of his like meat with him. And he's like, it's not a big deal. And the kid's like, you're not gonna beat me?
I want to eat this, but you're giving this to
And you
me.
have like no expectation?
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I don't know about
And so they do share a meal together, and then they're going on this little
Breaking of bread is how you build true bonds. You know this as an Italian.
Of course, yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
we must bring together in order to squish all beef.
Exactly.
Well, if you're a fan of video games, the director actually takes a lot of inspiration from the God of War reboot game.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because I got so much Kratos God of War energy from this film.
Yeah, so yeah,
Especially how he holds that's what
when he
Kratos does.
holds the axe and he
You cannot.
shepherds
Are you like yanking me?
No, there was an interview and he's like, yeah, that was one of the inspirations.
I
for
was
this
feeling
movie.
this the whole time.
This is the closest we'll get to a God of War movie.
I'm fine with that.
And yeah, you just see Godzilla kind of take this other monkey under his wing, and he leads them to this volcanic land, and you see a bunch of these monkeys in kind of chains, and not really chains, but they're doing labor.
It's hard. It's actually kind of because there's definitely like ranks
Yeah.
and like social status, but they're apes. They can't explain it to you, so I can't differentiate them because I'm blind. So I just see some apes just kicking the shit out of each other, and some other ones like, oh no. But there is a hierarchy.
Yeah, there's a hierarchy. There's
A ruling class.
There's lower apes and there's higher apes, and then we are introduced to the villain of our film, a big red ape. I thought he was an orangutan. He's got big long arms. It's the Scar King.
Hell yeah.
And he
Cool design, by the way.
Oh, he's sick. I love
that
him.
like it looks like he's wearing his own face. It's like falling off it.
Yeah, and well, he's been around forever. He's been trying to take over the surface world for who knows how long, and he's got this kind of sick whip weapon thing.
Yeah.
And
Which, according to the story, he's always had.
he's just had it, yeah. And at the very end of it, there's this blue crystal. And we'll get back to the blue crystal in a moment. But I want
Okay.
to talk about a scene, like right before he starts attacking Kong. He jumps down into this pit that Kong is in. And he like looks at Kong, he like picks up his mouth, and he sees that he's got a metal tooth, and he starts laughing at him.
Guys, it was kind of hot. But continue. Continue.
And he just laughs at him and just is like, you're he just makes fun of Kong.
There's an implication that the Scar King is aware that, like, he has received help.
Yeah.
But there's no context to understand from where or who or...
What makes this different from, like, the Planet of the Apes movies is the Planet of the Apes movies will give you subtitles. This movie, it just says, you just accept what is going on.
I never thought of that.
So there is, like, a level of disconnect because you don't get what they're saying to each other because they're just kind of grunting and communicating. Yeah.
Fair, but I'm also like an art house guy, so I'm kind of into
Yeah,
this.
no, like,
I'm
it's-
allowed to derive my own meaning.
Listen, I understand why this movie is so divisive amongst critics and the audiences. If you could hate this and you'd be like, I need dialogue, or I
Funny,
need...
because like I don't even like this movie, but I can't hate it for the moments we're about to get to.
Yeah.
Continue.
So the Scar King has this blue magic crystal on the end of his whip, his bone whip thing, and he points it at Kong, and there's this rumbling happening, and monkeys are running all over the place, and this chain opens up, and we see...
excuse me,
secret villain.
using tools again.
Yes, using tools.
They have a lava door, which is
Oh,
sick.
I forgot they do have a lava door.
Because they have like a sick whip fight, because he's like a whip. So he has like a giant whip fight.
Yeah.
Again,
And-
kind of hot.
and-
But then he realizes he can't win. He's not. He's not
Kong is the Scar King. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not strong enough. He just doesn't have the capabilities to beat
Yes.
Kong. So he decides to cheat by using the blue crystal.
Yes.
And they release this blue.
It looks like a stegodon.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the all fours, spiny tail.
The name of this character.
She has
is
a
called
name. She's like
Shimo.
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 Is it Shimo?
Shimo.
It cannot be. That's
Shimo.
whenever I say a name and it sounds stupid, it can't. Anyway, Shimo.
Shimo. And Shimo has ice powers.
She is responsible for the Ice Age.
Oh, I forgot this.
Yes.
They're like, she caused the first two ice ages.
But I was talking to people about this movie, and they're like, why is she so dumb? And I'm like, dude, she's in pain. You ever have a toothache? I'm so whiny when I have a toothache or the head cold. It turns out the crystal causes her direct pain, and that's how he manipulates her.
Yeah, and he points, and then she knows to attack, and she attacks Kong. Kong takes Scar King's whip and holds onto it, but Shimo ice blasts Kong and gives Kong a nasty bit of frostbite off his arm.
Really gooey.
Yeah, he lets it go, and he runs away. And
Well, his little
monkey,
pal helps him escape.
Oh, correct.
That's when the creature realizes, because remember, the Scar King kind of just boots his friend, like an old man, into lava.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
and then the monkey's like, maybe I'm on the wrong side.
Yeah, so I think this was a setup to get Kong to come to the Scar King for some reason.
I think he was, because remember, the monkey, the little kid, is playing both sides.
Yeah.
Even in their journey, he doesn't quite trust Kong, but he likes him.
Yeah.
Because he's worried for him. Like, oh, don't get too loud. Don't get too loud here. You asked me to take you here, and I'm going to do it. But, like, and it was in that moment, he shows him the secret pathway so he can escape.
Yeah, and he gets him out of there, and then there's some other monkeys that kind of chase after him. Kong's running through the Hollow Earth, and he gets to his trap that he originally set. He's out of options. He's stuck. And then he's like, well, I know I've laid this trap, so if they hit the wire on the trap, this whole canyon will collapse and they'll kill themselves. And then the monkeys are running, and he's like, oh, they're going to do it. They're going to hit the trap. The monkeys stop, and they see the trap, and they go, oh, good one, Kong. We gotcha. And they
They
step
do the
over.
zoom in. And you're right. I keep forgetting the scale of things.
Yeah.
That rope's huge.
If that's the case, yeah, that's a thick vine.
Those boulders are like the size of a mountain. But
They step over the trap and they're like, we got you, Kong. And they're about to jump him again. And who saves the day but our little baby Kong?
it's a nice reveal.
Yeah. My theater applauded.
Yeah. And he waves.
And he waves.
You
And-
just thank you for murdering these people for me.
And
Good
Kong's like,
boy.
wonderful. They wind up walking around and they wander over to the temple.
Yes.
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 Not a lot of Godzilla action, but Godzilla at this point is sleeping.
Yeah, he's charging up.
He's charging up to fight the ice.
He is taking a literal solar siesta.
Forgot to mention, but Godzilla fights that other creature we were talking about before that's in the Antarctic that has the solar energy.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's the most powerful Titan ever. And he just blasts it and it dies.
And
almost
hugs
instantly.
his face.
Yeah.
And then he just murders it.
And then he takes a nap in its lair to absorb all
Yes. But also by this point we have now also learned what the tribes people
Oh, yes.
call him, which is he who swallowed a star. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the only way for the monkeys to be free is that an outcast of their own kind will come back hinting at Kong and save
So stupid. What we need to understand is there are some bright, funny moments in the first hour of this movie.
Oh, yes, of course.
But as you deduced,
yeah.
with a very brilliant friend.
One of the people I saw this movie with turned over to me and they showed me their phone. We're like, we're an hour into this film and there is no conflict.
Like meaningful conflict.
Yeah, there's like little battles and stuff here and there.
But they
and,
resolve very quickly.
Yeah, and it's just like, there's just like a disturbance in the Force and we don't know what it is until we meet the Scar King.
And I don't think it really serves the film for them to keep us out of the loop that way.
Yeah, I think it's to its detriment. I think they should have introduced our villain a little bit earlier to show him doing something.
It's fun to watch bad people do bad things and then get their comeuppance.
Well, here's another fun fact from the director. I mentioned before that Kong is supposed to represent the best in humanity. The Scar King is supposed to represent the worst in humanity. So they're polar opposites. Is that achieved? A little bit, because the Scar King wants to like conquer, and Kong just is like, we can't
Once
all
again,
live.
another metaphor for corporate America. It's like, what are the monkeys even doing? They're just like pushing rocks.
That's true. There's no.
They're not building.
They're
There's
not building
no
a temple.
No, there's literally no. I don't care. But now that you've pointed my eyes at it, I'm like, there's no. He's just making the move shit because he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, that's true. He does laugh at them a lot. Kong makes it to the temple, and they determine that the Iwi people, I believe that's the name of this tribe, they build their things and they kind of get around because they can control gravity, if you remember that,
Yeah,
through
I do.
these giant pyramids.
How could I forget? There was, I think, a 10 to 15 minute sequence explaining how they control gravity.
in the Hollow Earth. And so they're preparing for something. They're like, something's going down. Kong shows up, and he's all wounded, and Dan Stevens goes, that looks pretty bad. That's some bad frostbite. And they're like, can we do anything? He goes, well, we did have this experimental tech that we were working on, and the government wasn't too happy. We were gonna like upgrade a Titan. And they're like, do we still have it? He goes, of course we do. Let me go grab it. So he goes, gets it from the destroyed outpost.
It didn't occur to me that his cool little dentist spaceship was also in the Middle Earth.
It somehow got there.
It got
That's
there.
true. I forgot that, yeah.
Because they have lost communication with the outpost the entire time. Oh no, we're poking holes through the world, Michael. Oh no.
So he's like, I got the augmentation. Don't worry, it's going to fix Kong right up. And he brings back this big yellow glove. They call it the Beast Glove.
It looks like Shut up. They do call it the Beast. You're fed so much dumb information in this movie. I missed Beast Glove.
They give him the Beast Glove, which
It fills him with drugs.
It fills him with drugs and like attaches itself, and it just becomes a gauntlet for him that like gives him.
Which politely, like in the promotional material, I'm like, that's dumb. In the moment, as a kid, I loved Tonka trucks. I think it's sick now.
It does look like a giant Tonka truck attacked to his stand. And they're like, wow, that's so great. It healed the frostbite right up. It's no big problem there. He totally can take on the Scar King's army. And Kong's feeling good. He has a touching moment with the little girl, and he reaches out and he touches her finger.
I think that's the first time they've air quotes talked in the entire film. Oh no, they made eye contact during his dentist appointment.
That's true.
You're gonna go under, but you're gonna wake up a lot better.
And he's like, okay. Goes back to sleep. But they're like, we're gonna need some help. And they're like, oh, okay. Kong decides on his own accord that he's gonna go get some help from the other guy.
Audience, we are now approaching my favorite moment in this film.
Oh yeah. And so Kong climbs up through one of the magic warp pipe wormholes, and he pops out in Cairo, Egypt.
Because this is a secret wormhole that we didn't know about.
That's true. There are a bunch of secret wormholes in this.
Movies are so expensive. We see so much footage of fake Cairo and all these people just doing their jobs, and then in the background you see a monkey pop out of a little hole.
Yeah, this giant monkey pops out of a hole, and now he's on Earth. And who senses that he's on Earth is Godzilla. Godzilla's pissed.
Where is Godzilla? Because this is important.
Godzilla is, at this point, Godzilla's in the ice, right?
No, he's now left the ice. Because remember, he's on top of that precipice mountain.
Oh, he's in Brazil, right?
Yeah, he's in Brazil. And then everyone in Brazil is looking up, and they're like, Godzilla. And then he jumps off. He does like a swan dive into the ocean, which sends a wave at the screen, which is the transition, but honestly murdered everyone watching him at the beach.
Well, that's what I don't necessarily love about these movies, but find so fascinating is they treat these monsters like they are these saviors to humanity. They're not good.
No, it's pretty big monster propaganda.
Yeah.
We're helping as Godzilla's casually just walking straight through Rome.
Oh yeah, he's knocking down bridges. He's
being courteous. Actually, he was only walking through the channels. Did you notice that?
Yes, he was like, I'm sticking to the water.
Minimal harm, unless I have to go punch a giant spider.
Kong is in Cairo, Egypt, waiting for.
And they
Godzilla.
have spider sense. They can sense each other.
They sense each other. They're on each other's turf, and Godzilla comes charging out of the ocean through Cairo, running right towards the pyramids.
And I want you guys to know, when they lock eyes and Kong is like, oh no, and we see Godzilla's eyes, this is the finest acting in the entire film. I don't know why Godzilla hates him so much. What a performance.
Like,
He hates him. I have no, because I didn't see the first movie. It's
Yeah.
literally just, you are here, and I despise that.
That's kind of like what, because like he lets him be for a while. He treats him that
Because
way in the first movie.
they were on the same planet forever.
Yeah. Well, Kong was just in his own world with Skull Island. And so, like, Godzilla just never bothered, I guess, to go there. And so he's like, well, that big monkey's not getting out. It's fine. This monkey beats him up at one point in the previous movie, and so he's pissed about it. So he hasn't let it go.
Oh, okay.
So
We love
comes
ego, though.
charging full blast, and Kong's trying to communicate in
Oh
some
my god, he's
capacity.
trying so much. In the way that it's like, no, Godzilla, I need you.
We need to be friends.
And what does he immediately do to him?
Does he tackle him, right?
No, he suplexes him through a pyramid.
Oh, that's true. He does knock out.
The entire audience, guys, screaming with joy. Finest cinema.
Finest cinema. Yeah, finally the movie has begun. An hour and 20 minutes into this film. And they have a quick little battle in Cairo. Godzilla's using his atomic breath, and Kong's just dodging and weaving and hiding
Because
behind
now he's
pyramids.
superpowered. This is pink Godzilla.
This is pink Godzilla. That's true. He absorbed the power from the previous monster that he fought and lived in his lair.
In his lair.
And now he's bright pink Godzilla.
Yeah. Like all the promos.
And he's a little bit stronger than light blue Godzilla. Eventually, they work things out because down on Hollow Earth, Gia does a little something, and they unleash Mothra is reborn.
Yeah, what does she do? She like walks up like a crystal pyramid.
Yeah. She walks up a crystal pyramid, and was there an egg of some sort?
So this is like getting kind of salt lamp vibes from this. But like she kind of just vibes on the top of the gravity pyramid, and then all of a sudden a cocoon appears from nowhere.
Yeah, cocoon appears from nowhere, releases Mothra, and Mothra immediately goes off, and everyone's like, Mothra's back.
Is she Mothra?
Oh, is the girl Mothra?
Yeah.
So Mothra in previous Godzilla lore, not in this movie, is like best friends with these two young twin girls, and they always are like the power of Mothra or something. So they're kind of like bestowing that onto this new character with Gia. But also like Mothra was in a previous movie, and I forgot who the girl, I guess it was Millie Bobby Brown, had the connection with Mothra. I don't remember.
No.
But anyway, yeah, so she just has like a psychic connection to Mothra and can like communicate with Mothra. She gets new robes, she gets new digs.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Sick.
And Mothra goes, I guess, through the portal, and she's like, boys. Stop.
Literally just smacks Godzilla.
Godzilla's like, I respect you. You're the one you're the one monster I respect.
You're my rock, you're my idol.
You turned me blue that one time, and I like that.
I hate this guy, but I love you.
So, you want us to work together, we're gonna work together.
Fine.
They somehow wind up going back through the wormhole, right?
Yeah, but that's also a sick entrance because they appear as like meteors because now the Scar King has ended his march and his Arctic friend has done her Arctic blast against the glass, and they've shattered the cocoon and they are coming upon the gravity crystals.
Yes, and a few of the monkeys who were chasing Kong before, they discovered the portals, and they're like, Scar King, they got portals. We go to the Earth now. And he's like, let's all go. So that's why he's marching towards the temple of Mothra. And they come down, they land. We see, is this a zero gravity fight?
We're getting there.
Yeah.
So, as other of our friends have explained to me, is the issue here is we see now, like, because the poster is just them both, like, we're running together.
Yeah.
And Scar King is like, he, like, mounts the Arctic one, Shibubu, what's her name? Shaman?
Shimo?
Shimu? He, like, mounts her, but they jump off, so they're doing, like, the Marvel, like, we're about to punch.
Yeah.
And for the last 10 minutes, the tribes people have been preparing the pyramids for an anti-gravity attack.
Yes.
To which, does that help anyone? Why are we doing this?
Something when the two anti-gravity pyramids touch tips,
So when the pyramids dock.
Yeah, when they talk. I'm trying to remember the verbiage they use, like, what comes up must come down, I think the podcast
They show us this cool ritual with like a chemical reaction in the depths of the temple that effectively cause like the foundation to grow a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's how the pyramids tippy tap. But they don't explain why they're doing it now.
No, they just do it to potentially stop the Scar King from getting to the portals, I guess.
In combination with our big friend.
Yes, and so they're slowing down gravity. Godzilla Kong come crashing through, and the Scar King and Shimu are making their way on the temple.
Yeah, it gets a little Smash Brothers right now, in that they're just sort of jumping from platforms, which have like no. Apparently, people I know got like motion sickness from this part, but I play games, so I'm used to the jumping camera.
Yeah, no, and it's a really inventive and kind of fun fight.
Oh, it's super fun. It's one of those things where like I don't care how we got here because what's happening is insane.
Yeah, it's pure joy in my cinema.
Yeah.
We were all having a good time because Kong and the Scar King are like literally jumping off of these floating rocks, and Scar King's throwing his whip at Kong, and Kong uses his suplex new beast glove to like to punch and to like catch things.
Because before he couldn't do it because it's like a saw that can like cut him if he rips
it would cut his hand. Yeah, they're duking it out. They're punching. Godzilla and Shimu are punching. They're smacking each other. The Scar King leaps off Shimu's back to meet Kong midair, while Shimu lunges at Godzilla. Before they can reach each other, the pyramids collide, ensuring the shockwave
that starts the gravity fight
that sends all the monsters floating through the air. Godzilla fights off a few apes before reaching Shimu. Kong blocks the strike from the Scar King's stolen axe. Oh yeah, so Kong left his axe because he got frostbite in his hand, and so the Scar King takes the axe along with his whip. Mothra saves a malfunctioning Heave. Oh, that's the plane, yeah.
So the fight happens.
Yeah.
Two of them get dragged through a portal, which puts us in Rio.
Yes, that brings us to Rio.
His axe gets caught in the wall, and somehow Godzilla and Shimu get kicked through as well, where Baby Kong joins. Because Baby Kong realizes he left his axe.
Yes.
No!
So Baby Kong jumps and grabs the axe through the portal. They all fall together.
So this is the best part of the movie, because this is the last time we see the humans ever again.
That's true. They don't do much for the rest of the movie. They're like, we gotta help them in some capacity. Dan Stevens is like, I'm gonna go get those electric birds. And he uses the electric birds to kind of like fend off the bad apes that are not the main characters. And the rest of the monsters, they go through the portal and they wind up in Rio de Janeiro, right on the beach. Nice sunny exterior. And they duke it out in the streets and the beach of Rio.
God, when Shibu blasts the entire coastal front of Rio de Janeiro.
All those people dead.
I kind of get distressed when I see that much destruction.
Well, I remember you mentioned when you saw like the Meg trailer, you were like, I'm upset.
I actually wanted to leave. I didn't like that. Especially this DJI shark rises and you just see like a family just go into his mouth. And I'm like, that makes me upset.
Just imagine all the people who didn't sign up for this in Rio.
Well, we didn't see them, so I'm okay with that.
That's fine. We are just seeing it.
They were at their shitty little office jobs.
the Titans' perspective. So they duke it out in Rio de Janeiro, and the Scar King is finally on land, and he's all excited that he
because he's like afraid of the sun at first. And he's like, wait, this feels good. Maybe I'm right.
Like, I'm gonna take over now.
This is also like maybe his third scene.
And so then Shimu freezes the whole...
She starts the second ice age.
Yeah, she starts freezing the new empire, perhaps.
Yeah. Think of what saying.
And Godzilla and Kong, they come and they basically just firing their atomic blasts
some glorious back and forths. It is watching like a video game cutscene.
Yes. Well, again, the director taking a lot of inspiration from Godzilla video games, where you're just smacking things around and it's just four monsters fighting each other.
Like Godzilla just running through a building unaffected to clothesline the Scar King will always live rent-free in my heart. They do a combo move where Godzilla like tail wags someone, and then like Godzilla like one of those air grabs. I don't know what those are called, but it was sick.
Yeah, and just takes him down.
These guys have watched WWE pay-per-view so much.
They've been waiting their whole lives for this. And so they have like a race to get the blue crystal.
The blue crystal.
And so each of the monsters like smacks it and everything. And they wind up breaking it, right? The Baby Kong breaks it, right?
Yeah, with his with Kong's axe.
With Kong's axe that he fell through the portal with, and they destroy it. So then Shimu is no longer in chains and indebted to the Scar King. So Shimu just freezes him. Kong picks up the Scar King and his frozen body and smashes him into pieces.
Oh, and he's still alive during this.
Yeah, you see his eyes moving.
Yeah, he like hates this.
Yeah, and Scar King is destroyed and dead in 1,000 little pieces.
And then Godzilla kindly releases all the radiation he's eaten into the sky.
Correct,
Which
yes.
ends the Ice Age.
Which ends the Ice Age and everything is fine.
But also the fallout on Rio. We will never know the lasting implications.
Listen, the cities that have been destroyed by these monsters and their radiation: Boston, San Francisco, Rio now, Rome, Hong Kong.
Being in construction must be so lucrative.
No longer can you live in any of these major metropolitan areas. Mothra winds up going back down with Gia and back down to the Hollow Earth. Kong goes back down to the Hollow Earth, and Gia and Rebecca Hall, they have a touching heart-to-heart moment at the end of the movie where Rebecca Hall's like, these are your people, you should be with them, and then Gia's like, you're my people, like, where you are is home. Mothra seals the barrier to the Hollow Earth and then flies away, and everyone says their goodbyes to each other, and they go back up. Godzilla goes back to the Coliseum.
He returns to the Coliseum
to take a nap, as he's just
with all these people just like being like, yeah, good job.
Yeah, Roman's embraced him finally. Kong and Baby Kong ride Shimu through the Hollow Earth. They return to the Scar King's cave, and they have complete freedom, and he has released the apes from the movie
That
ends.
must be presumably the new empire.
Yeah, so listen, every single one of these movies, Kong becomes king in a different way. In Skull Island, he becomes king of the island because he kills the skull crawlers, and so he's king of Skull Island.
I'm not going to ask what those are, but continue.
It's a weird scroll. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
And then in the previous Godzilla Kong movie, he finds a temple to the former apes, and he sits on a throne. He literally sits on a throne at one point, and he becomes king then, and now he's king of the apes. And now there's more apes. That's the movie there. It's an insane ride, and we don't do it justice. It's too insane to kind of really streamline because it throws so much at you. And we've only seen this movie one time, and it was in theaters, and I didn't feel comfortable taking notes on my phone.
No.
It's not worth it for that.
It's like a movie that doesn't really care about its distinct element, but when it aligns like a prism, it is beautiful.
Like these two gravity pyramids.
Because like if you're thinking too much, you're like, what is happening? Instead of being like, I'm on a roller coaster, I'm going to put my hands up and scream.
Yeah, it's a silly, silly movie.
Yes.
Let's talk about the monkeys in the movie.
So yes, that's why we're here.
This is the meat of the podcast, although some people think that the descriptions of the movies are the meat. But we'll talk about...
Their opinions do not bother me.
But there's a lot more monkeys in this movie, and a lot more main monkeys in this movie.
And their performances were compelling.
Yes, they were good. I can't find... I've tried to look up...
Okay, while we've been talking, I have also been digging for a list, because I wanted to see if we could find the voice actor who made the grunting sounds. I cannot.
In the previous movie, it was just some
a character actor?
Some artists who did it. But there's no... Because in Kong Skull Island, there was there were two motion capture people. I don't have any information for the motion capture on Kong or the Scar King. Let's see here. Yeah, they don't give it to us on Wikipedia, unfortunately. It packs a lot into 115 minutes. It is also the cheapest one to be made. This movie had a budget of $135 million, which sounds like a lot, but it is the least expensive of any of these MonsterVerse movies. Probably because a majority of it is animated. Like, a good chunk of this film is just monsters doing stuff. And that's something the director wanted to do. He wanted to streamline the process from the previous movie where he was like, the last one had too many characters, there was too many plot points. There's literally two teams you were following this entire movie. This one you follow one team, and then they kind of aren't in it in the third act.
No,
and they're just...
In fact, the movie tries to invent ways...
to get rid of them.
or like, give them merit.
Yeah, and I think with the core, like, 4 human characters, that's all you needed. And they have distinct and different personalities that you're not bored by them. Like, Dan Stevens, his character, Trapper is his name. He was inspired by a G.I. Joe toy from the 80s.
I get that.
This entire movie was inspired by 80s toy commercials, which is... Video games and toy commercials. That's what
that
this
feels
director...
right. Considering our favorite gravity fight is literally just someone smashing action figures together.
That's exactly what this movie is. It's just action figures smacking into each other. Onto the monkeys. We'll talk about Kong.
Yeah.
So Kong in this movie, you kind of mentioned before, he has more personality in this film. And I feel like he has more personality in this film than any of the previous MonsterVerse Kong movies. Like you said, he's making jokes. He's taking this little Kong under his wing. He's being protective, and he's doing all these things. He is Kratos from God of War.
But like he's like Kratos with dental.
Yeah.
the expectation that he can climb through a wizard portal and then just get...
He's like, fix me.
Like that it's weird about the relationship in that we understand that he knows he can come to these weird people and they'll like fix problems for him and then he leaves.
Yeah, and then we've kind of discussed Kong a lot throughout. And you mentioned the baby Kong. And he actually has a name, and also starts with an S. Baby Kong's name is Zuko.
Zuko. That is never said in the film.
No, it is never said. It was revealed on a toy.
Merchandising.
But Zuko is, I guess, what they would imagine what Kong would be when he is a child. He's not dumb. Like you said,
No.
he's playing both sides of
He's
both the
plotting.
Skarsgård and Kong, trying to figure out who's the better person to be with. Ultimately, he does decide to go with Kong, but like he has a tribe, he has a people.
Yeah.
And he wants to protect those people. He feels bad when one of the monkeys is thrown into the volcano pit and dies. He is small and scrappy, and he is like Diddy Kong, like you were saying from the Donkey Kong movies. So what else do you kind of find in Zuko here? Like, any other characteristics that differ from Kong's?
Well, they're both durable.
Yeah, that's true. They do. Oh,
He uses him as a whip.
okay. So in the first scene where Kong meets Zuko and Kong gets jumped by those monkeys, he picks Zuko up after Zuko bites him and like is gnawing on him and just beats other monkeys with the body of this baby ape. And then he chucks him at one point, and then the Zuko is fine. Yeah, so he is really durable.
Yeah. we can assume a lot because, you know, most of the dialogue is grunting. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Kong sees a lot of himself in this little monkey.
Yes.
Or in the fact that it's like, hey, you're acting out, but like you're young, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to protect and feed you. He's a good little kid. He's a little kid.
He's just a little guy.
He likes old people.
He
as we
does.
learn.
That's true. He does like old people. He seems to be the only child in this tribe.
Yes, there are no other children.
There are no other children.
Well, also, you have to understand, the hieroglyphics that we see show the Scar King exactly as we see him. So maybe they just don't age. Maybe Zuko is just baby forever. Baby for life. Like, how old is Kong?
Kong, in the previous movie, the director said
I
Kong's
can't believe you have an answer for me.
Yeah. He said if it was to be human years, it'd be about 40-something years old.
He's 40.
He's not
No!
This is 3 years after that. So he's maybe 45 in this movie. But like in Kong Skull Island, which takes place in the 70s, he's described as an adolescent teenager because he's like only 100 feet tall. So he's
Never
about the
mind.
size of Zuko.
I was mad about this film. This is the best movie ever. That's insane. You can't just say that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, just because he says he's a teenager, so he's like literally 43 years old and he's that big?
No, he's not literally 40.
Like mentally.
Like mentally and like on his body, he is about 40. He has the body of a 43-year-old.
Oh my god. This is why I love movies. The conversations we get to have.
And you wouldn't know this because they never tell you any of this in the movie.
They don't care to. There's too much monarch and there's too much science.
I would say extensive research. I've done some IMDb trivia. And then there's the Scar King. He's the other big monkey of the movie.
Sick design.
I love him. I
Yeah.
wish there was more of him. Like you mentioned, he only has like 4 scenes in this entire film.
We meet him.
We meet him. He travels on Zuko's back. They fight under the pyramids.
And then they kill him.
Gravity, and then he's in Rio, and they kill him. He should have been introduced earlier because he's a pretty good bad guy. He is the antithesis to Kong, as Shimu is the antithesis to Godzilla.
Yeah, because to Kong, he's just trying to find community, and to the Scar King, it's expendable.
Yeah. I just love that as a villain for Kong. And his whip is sick.
Yeah. He has like finesse because he's lankier. He's not as big as Kong, and he knows that.
Yeah, he knows how to like get the better of someone. I just think that is a more interesting matchup than in the previous movie where they fight a big robot at the end of the film.
Okay,
But that's pretty sick as well.
I'm pretty biased. I do like big robots.
I just think as a matchup for Kong, it's better.
There's the ape society.
And then there's the ape people. Yeah.
that he inherits. Why are they so malnourished?
The Scar King is not feeding these folks.
Yeah, I guess they can eat like lava rocks.
Yeah, and it's not like they can't leave because they are shown leaving to jump Kong. So they do, I guess, go out and hunt or whatever, but they do need to move those rocks from one location to another
You're right.
location.
You know,
that's
that is
very
just-
important to the Scar King.
That is just world-moving labor right there. We can't stop moving those rocks. Society will literally crumble. God, it's so silly.
Yeah, I would say overall good monkeys. Good
monkeys.
Good
Cool.
monkey representation. In this film, Godzilla is only on screen like 8 minutes. And Kong, I believe, is like over 30.
Good.
So that's why I also see him as like the main character of this movie. It's the same case in the previous film. Godzilla just kind of shows up. Like you don't really see Godzilla on his own.
Oh,
in
so this is a theme.
Yeah, in this one, at least like Godzilla has his own mini adventure before he teams up with Kong, even though Kong is the central focus. Also, the choice to make Godzilla bright pink in the film was another choice by the director because he was like, I didn't get to make my own Godzilla in the previous movie because he just carried him over from King of the Monsters. So he was like, how do I make Godzilla the way I want to make him? So he like changes his dorsal fins when he like powers up and becomes pink, and he like changes his face too, so his face is a bit bigger as well.
Okay, so I want you to know.
Yeah.
Still don't like this movie, but I do like it a little bit more because you revealed to me that the director is a huge nerd.
Oh, this guy is a huge nerd. He loves video games. He loves the 80s. I mean, you hear 80s synth score all over this movie.
Oh my God, you're right. Okay, fine.
I'm turning you around on this movie.
You really, literally are. As soon as I learned that someone like loves something and they get to find, how often you get to make a movie with big monsters in it that punch and grunt.
And so he's really hoping to make a third film. It looks like this movie's on track to maybe do the second best opening of the year.
It's so early in the year, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's other big movies coming out. But it's doing really well. It's made back its budget because it had a budget of 135. As of recording, it's made about 214 million.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's just gonna keep going.
It opened last weekend.
Yeah, it opened last weekend, so I think it'll do well. And then if he gets a third movie, this director said, and he gets to direct the third one, he's gonna make Godzilla the focus, and he's like, whatever journey Kong went on in this one, Godzilla's gonna go on that journey next one. He also mentioned, and we didn't quite paint it this way in our breakdown, but this movie is, the director even realizes this, it's almost exactly the same as Godzilla vs. Kong. It's really close. There's a lot of similarities in scenes that are almost exactly the same. But this one, he was like, this one we get to have a little bit more fun. He was like, I wanted to make the audience just cheer. I didn't really care. I like this guy. He understands the assignment. He's like, people aren't going to these movies for the human drama.
But there's so many humans talking about things we don't care about.
True. I think if he could, he would make it all monsters fighting.
Perfect.
Maybe in the next one he will.
Excellent.
We'll see. We talked about the monkeys in the movie. We talked about how great they are.
Yes.
What happens if we remove the monkeys from this movie? What is the movie we have?
Okay, so biased opinion, it just means it's a bunch of people in Godzilla.
Well,
which, as you know,
the people wouldn't even be involved because the only reason the people go down into the Hollow Earth is because the Scar King. So Godzilla just fights a crab and then sleeps in the Coliseum. There's no other conflict. He doesn't have to power up.
and he wouldn't set off his little trap.
Yeah.
So then it would never be revealed to the Scar King's hunting party or the Scar King.
But you're removing all of the monkeys, so the Scar King is not in the movie.
You are so funny with this question.
So it's just Godzilla fights a crab and sleeps in the Coliseum.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Nothing else happens in this film without the intervention of monkeys.
Fair.
I'm just trying to think of any other. I mean, they could go to the Hollow Earth, but you didn't watch the previous movie. They couldn't get to the Hollow Earth without Kong. So if there's still no Kong, there's no Hollow Earth.
Well, you can't drag in a previous movie that's not part of this current narrative.
Fair, correct. But anyway, so Kong died. Let's say Kong and all the monkeys died. So the humans, I guess, are doing stuff in the Hollow Earth.
Sure.
They're just observing. They're observing the center of the Earth. There's no conflict.
There's some big bugs. There's some big birds that fire electricity.
They never find.
There's an ancient people that worship a moth. There's a lot going on. We have a gravity time.
Yeah, they just have their gravity time as normal. Then Godzilla's just around. That's kind of it. Let me see if I can find any other fun trivia. The original working title for this movie was Godzilla and Kong Origins. Don't know why.
Terrible.
There's no origins in this film.
No, there is an origins to like why Godzilla is there, or that like he fought them initially, but like not in like origins of what he was born. Are we gonna see a slice of life Kong dad and Kong mother meeting for the first time?
Something else I thought was fun. The big lizard kind of thing that eats Kong's like dog meat at the start of the film. You know, like the warthog dog that he like.
Oh, the little crocodile.
Yeah. His name is Doug.
His name is Doug.
One other thing I wanted to mention is Mothra at one point was almost not in this movie. Well, the director wanted Mothra, but Mothra had some weird rights issue problems, so they didn't know if they were going to get Mothra.
Moth rights.
Yeah, moth rights. And so they made a different monster called Phosphora, which essentially does the exact same thing as Mothra. You could go online and Google Phosphora. Let me show you a photo of her. She's this like white phoenix thing here. This is in a test screening. Apparently Phosphora was in the Mothra role of telling Godzilla and Kong, come on boys.
It's weird because it has the same weird moth arms as her.
They definitely just put a new skin over.
Yeah, they gave a bird a moth face.
Yeah, Phosphora could come back in a future movie. Apparently, she didn't test well in test screenings, and they wound up getting Mothra. And that's the movie there. So anyway, let's head towards the end of the show here. Is this a monkey see, monkey do, or is this a monkey see, monkey don't?
I feel that based on our challenging discourse,
yes,
that this must be a monkey see, monkey do film.
This is, for me, a monkey see, monkey do. I had a great time watching this. Again, I understand if you listen to this, and God bless you for getting through all of this, because we were just spewing nonsense this entire time. Because It's such a hard plot to follow, especially if A, you are not into this kind of stuff, and B, this isn't your typical, like, if you're just jumping into this movie, like, I know you like Godzilla and things like that. But
Like, inherently.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was stepping my toe into a greater world.
Yeah, and there's several times with the people I saw this movie with who also hadn't seen any of the previous films, and I had to lean over and explain. I was like, oh, so that little girl is best friends with King Kong, by the way. That's very important to know. Or like, the Hollow Earth is in the center of the earth, and it's very important that Kong lives there. I enjoy this movie. Again, I would recommend it if you want a silly old time. Do you have to run out to the movie theaters to see it? I mean, it's fun to see on a big screen if you're going to see it with a crowd of people, but you could also watch it at home and do your dishes while it's on. Like, it's not a very important... You don't have to pay too much attention to this movie.
5% of this film is some of the most fun I've had in a cinema. The rest, 9 to the 95, take it or leave it. I think that there is a world, because the Monarch show is written like this, where it's so much lore,
Yeah.
and like you want to love monsters and understand. And if you want that, you could get fed today. But for me, who's just there for like, what's the story? I want to see big things punch things.
Yeah.
That does happen. It is not the core experience.
All right. Well, I want to ask one other question to you. Do you like monkeys?
I do, in fact, love monkeys.
Hell yeah.
I love going to the zoo.
Monkeys are such interesting creatures, and that's why we're doing this podcast. It's fascinating how different movies paint these creatures.
Whereas, have you been to a zoo?
Yeah, of course.
Have you seen a gorilla?
Yeah.
Like us and how they sit?
Yeah, kind of scary, but I love it.
Yeah. And you'll find videos of little kids showing, because they have the glass enclosure, and the kid will be holding up a little iPad and they'll be watching YouTubes, and a gorilla will come up and start watching, and it will tap. It's new video. This is boring.
You ever watch a video of people doing magic for monkeys?
Are you serious?
Oh, it's so good. If you have free time later, go home and watch magic at the zoo, and monkeys lose their shit.
The zoo is magic, or magic at the zoo.
All right. Well, is there anything you want to promote?
Eat your vegetables.
Eat
a banana.
Eat a banana.
Yeah, have your potassium. Do that.
All right.
That's topical.
Let me close out the show here. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. If you made it through this one, this was probably the toughest one to get through because it's the most nonsense in any of these movies that we've watched. Next week, I promise, it will be a little bit more straightforward. I want to thank Elias for our logo. I want to thank Michael for coming and being on the show today. If you want to support the show in some capacity, I do have an Amazon affiliate link I'm going to put in the description. You can just purchase whatever you're already going to buy, and I get a kickback of that somehow, and I could keep my lights on in some capacity, and I could keep making these episodes. If you also could do me a favor and give us a 5-star review on your podcaster of choice, it helps boost the algorithm. Tell your friends about the show. Yeah, that would be really beneficial as well. We want to try to spread this to as many people as possible. Thank you so much for listening today. Michael, do you have a fun way to close out the show? Any fun monkey puns or...
What a zoo of a time it's been with you, Michael.
What a zoo of a time as well. All right, thank you. Bye.
You can